Good morning/afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to dive into today's topic, graphic displays of behavioral data. We'll be exploring the key principles and best practices involved in visualizing behavioral analysis. Throughout this presentation, I'll guide you through effective techniques for creating, interpreting, and utilizing these visual tools to enhance our understanding and communication of behavioral data. Let's get started. When we talk about visualizing behavioral data, we're really focusing on how important it is to see the patterns and trends that raw numbers alone can't always reveal. Graphic displays play a crucial role here by taking complex sets of data and turning them into clear, accessible visuals. This makes it easier for researchers and practitioners to systematically analyze behavior. By doing this, they can make informed decisions about the best interventions and track progress effectively. One of the biggest benefits of effective visualization is that it leads to clearer communication. When behaviors and outcomes are presented visually, everyone involved can understand the information better. Ultimately, the purpose of using these graphic displays in behavior analysis is to support systematic evaluation and help guide thoughtful decision making when it comes to managing and improving behavior. Let's talk about the common types of graphs we use in behavior analysis. First, we have line graphs. These are great for tracking how behavior changes continuously over time, allowing us to see trends and patterns clearly. Next, there are bar graphs, which are perfect for comparing different discrete categories or conditions side by side. Finally, we use cumulative records, which show the total number of responses accumulated over time, giving us a clear picture of overall progress or change. Each type of graph serves a unique purpose and helps us interpret data effectively. When we look at line graphs, the first thing to understand is the role of the axes. The x-axis typically represents time, while the y-axis shows the behavior or measure we're interested in. Each point on the graph corresponds to a specific moment in time paired with the observed value. These points are then connected by lines, which is crucial because it helps us see the flow and continuity of the data over different phases or conditions. This connection allows us to easily spot trends, whether behavior is increasing, decreasing, or remaining stable. Ultimately, line graphs are an essential tool for tracking progress and evaluating the effects of interventions over time. They give us a clear visual way to understand how things change and develop. Bar graphs use bars, either vertical or horizontal, to represent different categories of data. Each bar's height or length is proportional to the value or frequency of behavior or variable being measured in a specific condition. This setup makes it easy to quickly compare data across different behaviors, individuals, or experimental conditions. It's important to note that bar graphs are designed for categorical data, so they don't suggest any continuity or relationship between the categories themselves. Cumulative records are graphs that show the total number of responses accumulated over time. On the y-axis, you'll see the running count of responses, which helps us visualize behavior as it unfolds. These records are especially useful in operant conditioning because they clearly illustrate changes in the rate of responding. When interpreting the graph, pay close attention to the slope of the curve. Steeper slopes mean faster response rates, while any shifts or breaks in the slope can indicate changes in behavior following interventions. This makes cumulative records a powerful tool for tracking how behavior evolves over time. When creating effective graphs, there are a few key components to keep in mind. First, clearly labeled axes are essential. This means each axis should have a descriptive label along with the appropriate units, so the viewer immediately understands what the graph represents. Next, consistent scale intervals are crucial. Using regular, well-chosen intervals helps present the data accurately and makes it easier to interpret. Third, accurate data plotting is a must. Every point should be positioned correctly to reflect the true values, ensuring the graph is reliable. Finally, including legends or keys is important to explain any symbols, colors, or lines used on the graph. This helps the audience quickly grasp the meaning behind different elements. Together, these components make graphs both clear and effective. When constructing clear graphs, the first step is to choose the right type of graph that suits your data and the message you want to convey. This ensures your audience grasps the information quickly and accurately. Next, it's essential to label your axes clearly with descriptive titles and units, so there's no confusion about what the graph represents. Setting appropriate scales is also crucial. Scales should cover the full range of your data without exaggerating or downplaying trends. When plotting your data points, precision is key. You want the graph to reflect the true measurements as accurately as possible. Finally, always maintain data integrity by presenting the full picture honestly and avoiding selective or misleading representation. Following these guidelines helps make your graphs both informative and trustworthy. When we look at behavioral data, there are three key aspects to focus on: trend, level, and variability. First, the trend shows us the overall direction of the data points within a phase. This could be increasing, decreasing, or staying stable, and it gives us a sense of whether behavior is improving, worsening, or holding steady. Next, the level refers to the average value or central tendency of those data points in each phase. It helps us understand the typical behavior during that specific time frame. Finally, variability looks at how much the data points fluctuate around that average level. High variability means a behavior is inconsistent, whereas low variability suggests it's more stable. By considering all three, trend, level, and variability, we get a clearer picture of behavioral patterns and can better assess the impact of any interventions. Immediacy of effect refers to how quickly we see a change in behavior right after an intervention begins. When data points shift rapidly following a manipulation, it often indicates a strong causal link between the intervention and the outcome. By evaluating this immediacy, we can better determine how effective the intervention is and decide if any adjustments are needed to improve results. This quick response is a crucial indicator in understanding the impact of our actions. Here we see some common examples of behavioral data graphs. First, baseline versus treatment line graphs are frequently used to compare behavior before and after an intervention, presenting a clear visual of how the treatment impacted behavior over time. Next, cumulative record graphs show the accumulation of responses across sessions, which helps us observe changes in response rates in a continuous and detailed manner. Together, these graphical examples highlight how data visualization can uncover meaningful shifts in behavior, making it easier to interpret changes across different conditions and time periods. One common mistake to watch out for is using distorted or inconsistent scales. This can unintentionally exaggerate or minimize the effects you're trying to show, leading to a misleading interpretation of the data. Another key point is to always include clear labels and units on your axes. Without these, your audience can easily get confused about what the graph is actually representing. It's also crucial to accurately represent your data points. Plotting incorrect values or leaving out data can seriously undermine the reliability of your graph. Lastly, be consistent with your formatting and symbols. If you switch styles or symbols halfway through, it can confuse your readers and make your graph harder to understand. Keeping these points in mind will help ensure your graphs communicate information clearly and effectively. When graphing behavioral data, it's crucial to start with accurate and precise plotting of each data point. This ensures that the data truly represents what was observed without distortion. Next, all axes and legends need to be clearly and legibly labeled. This helps anyone viewing the graph understand exactly what the data shows without confusion. Appropriate scaling is also essential. The scale should reflect the true variation in the data, neither exaggerating nor minimizing changes. Maintaining consistency in design and symbols across multiple graphs makes it easier to compare and interpret the data without having to adjust to new formats every time. Lastly, following established conventions specific to behavioral data graphing is important. These conventions provide a common language for researchers and professionals, making communication more effective and comparisons more straightforward. Altogether, these best practices improve both the reliability of the data presentation and how well the information is shared and understood. When it comes to working with behavioral data, choosing the right type of graph is crucial. The effectiveness of your graphic display really hinges on this initial step. Next, it's important to construct your graphs clearly. That means paying close attention to labels and scales, so the information is easy to understand at a glance. Interpreting the data requires careful consideration, especially looking at trends, levels, and variability to draw accurate conclusions. Above all, maintaining accuracy and honesty throughout the entire graphing process is vital. This not only ensures your conclusions are valid, but also supports informed, sound decision making and behavior analysis.